I'm Roy Potter, a former U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel. Welcome to the Potter Expositor.
And Thomas here for the American Intelligence Media. Thomas, we have a T-drop. Before we get started, I know this is a big one. Would you go and check and make sure that the trip code didn't change last night and that we are still talking to T?
The trip code is not at Real Donald. So we are going based upon reports that are being given out from the White House.
So we're going to go right to the executive order and not to the tweets this time, correct?
Well, we don't know exactly what this is, but this is quoting from something that Donald Trump wrote, which is a directive to the Department of Justice. So in essence, everything that you ever heard Barack Obama, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, and all the other, Sally Yates, all the other liars, Comey and Mueller, say that the president isn't even supposed to talk to the Department of Justice is complete nonsense. They take their orders from him. He aligns his executive orders with the Department of Justice and with the FBI. The FBI has to give him the information he needs to make executive orders. It is a complete lie. Now, what has happened here, we are going from the previous T-drop, and the previous T-drop was in his tweet, Real Donald, on his tweet channel, and it said clearly he was going to put it in writing. But what he said he was going to put in writing, he tweeted, and that is also an official statement, and that's what we were interpreting last night. Now, we are going from an article that will be posted along with this audio, and it reads the following. The order, referring to the executive order and/or could be just a policy order. It could be all kinds of orders.
And as we always do, we'll put a link in the description box below so that you can access what we are reading online while you're listening to the YouTube video. The order says, the order will task a full-scale criminal investigation of, quote, the espionage perpetrated during Obama administration by the FBI and other U.S. agencies in collusion with intelligence assets of foreign governments, United Kingdom, against the 2016 Trump for President campaign in violation of United States courts, close quote, and the, quote, criminal misuse of government resources to influence an election, close quote. It goes on. Quote, to wit, a request by former President Barack Obama for the British intelligence agency known as MI6 to engage in electronic signals and telephonic interception inside the United States of America against an incoming Commander-in-Chief of the United States Army and Navy, American citizens, and political entities without probable cause or a court order or search warrant in violation of Title 18 United States Code subsection 794, and the granting of access to British intelligence to top-secret United States National Security Agency facilities in Fort Meade, Maryland, and elsewhere to facilitate such warrantless electronic signals, telephonic interception without probable cause, court order, or search warrant in violation of Title 18 United States Code 1831.
Now, that is a bunker bomb, and it has just taken out two huge sections, because what he's stated here is what is necessary for a special counsel investigation, because there are two crimes, and he states the exact crimes and what crimes they were. Mueller's special investigation never did that, now did it? It was based upon nonsense, upon the idea that there was a conspiracy or a collaboration which could never be proven. So it was nothing more than a political maneuver carrying on the John Brennan-initiated George Papadopoulos counterintelligence investigation, which turned into the Mueller investigation. What this is, and I have to say, first off, I don't have the whole document here, and some of these things are in quotes, so somebody is quoting it. So this was written, obviously, either Sunday night or Monday, and was sent over to the Justice Department because they didn't trust Rod Rosenstein and Christopher Wray, who had to come over to the White House to be chewed out, not to receive this note, but chewed out because they refused to give unredacted copies of the FISA warrant requests and the content that had to be submitted for those FISA warrant requests to Trey Gowdy and Devin Nunes.
And a little reminder to Rosenstein and Wray that they work for the president, so they can come visit him.
Precisely. And they were coming to be chewed out and be told that General Kelly, Chief of Staff, is going to literally be looking over their shoulders as they give this material to congressional oversight as the law provides. There is no need to redact anything, especially if they're only letting the Nunes and Trey Gowdy see what is the true facts and unredacted facts on those FISA warrant requests. Now, we always knew, and Nunes always knew, that as soon as he could get the information on the FISA warrant, which then started the Carter Page in July of 2016, was the Carter Page FISA warrant. But before that, we've always said, and no one has shown that yet, there was a FISA warrant for, of course, George Papadopoulos through Brennan, even though the FISA court abuses were so fantastic, and that's the reason this note is talking about FISA court, because it specifically goes in and states that Obama himself was aware. Now, how can Trump say that? Because we know, as we just did we did an entire tape on this the night before this bomb was dropped, and we said exactly the very content right here. This is what we went over. We went over the fact that the GCHQ, the British NSA, basically, came to Fort Meade, the NSA, and spied on Trump Jr. in the towers. We've said that from the beginning because it was noted by people, it was revealed by people at Fort Meade when they saw this happening. In other words, white hat whistleblowers. And it came into the news, and we considered it reputable. We vetted it, and that happened it happened when it happened, and it was revealed just literally right after it happened. So they have witnesses to that. So that one's an open and closed case. So that alone proves his second point, which is that the second big point, which is that the intelligence communities were involved in this thing. But the first point is Obama. Well, Susan Rice said Obama was involved with her own text message to herself, trying to cover her butt.
I believe it was an email to herself.
Okay, but I don't...
Some electronic transmission, let's call it that way, okay?
I understood that it was literally done on her phone.
Maybe so.
And to herself as an email, as she, after the thought hit her that somehow Trump made it through the inauguration. So right after the inauguration, it hit her, she needed to cover her tracks. So she basically pointed the finger at Obama because they had pointed the finger at Susan Rice, saying she had unmasked people in the SCIF, the Secure Compartmental Information Facility inside of the White House, that Devin Nunes went over to look at, which started this whole thing. And by the way, Devin Nunes should be given the highest award that can be given to a true patriot American, and anything that he wants. If he wants to be the Attorney General, he'd be a great one. I don't even know if he's a lawyer, but the point is that...
Well, I say we need to get rid of all those lawyers. They're the ones that got us in this mess.
And Trey Gowdy has come right along with him, though Trey has been...
I don't know,
But wait, Trey has been a reluctant participant.
Listen, he's
in
got
part
SES
of it, and that's the Mueller investigation.
Written all over him.
And the one that happened before that was when Barack Obama did what he did. That was a constitutional crisis, but it's only being revealed now. And as we said from the beginning, the Mueller investigation would reveal all of the culprits, all of these culprits. So if we named all of them that are implicated in the two crimes mentioned here, it would be the same group we have been naming over and over and over again. And Conservative Treehouse loves to put their pictures in those clusters. showing that, these are the people. These are the people. The only person who's getting out of this is Admiral Rogers, because he came to Trump and told him what was happening in Trump Tower, told him he was being surveilled, because he is going to be the witness to prove that the surveillance from Fort Meade happened, because he is the director of the NSA. He has the logins of the British spies coming over from GCHQ to do this. He has probably the intercepted content. And he's the one who demanded a FISA court review, which then pointed out the 100% noncompliance of James Comey. And that's the reason why he had such trouble getting a FISA court warrant, and the reason it's such a big deal and they had to renew it, because he didn't usually get them. He did whatever he wanted. Everyone was surveilled. And at the end, Barack Obama said all agencies can grab raw data from NSA. And that's what Michael Rogers stood up against. His agency had been completely compromised, the NSA. He's the director of the NSA. And he stood against James Clapper from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. He stood against James Comey and FBI and William Priestap and the Counterintelligence Division. He stood against the Department of Justice. At that point was Kerry. He stood against the false information given by, what's her name, Newland?
Victoria Newland.
Victoria Newland. That's what started this, according to Brennan, was a intercepted telephone call in Europe stating that these things existed, which is complete nonsense, but it will show up in a log somewhere.
And because this is truth, we're going to keep coming back to that same small group and the same players over and over again.
And this bomb is so huge because now the tables have been turned. The tide has gone out. As we said the night before this happened, we had said that a critical mass had been reached because we had seen in the mainstream media that they had all turned. They'd all gone to Trump's side. Because if they don't, they're going down, because the people who are now revealing these things are the people who revealed the Trump salacious Russian dossier of Christopher Steele, who was also a British spy, who was implanted and who was working to frame members of the Trump team, as well as Stephen Halper that has recently come out. Huge corrupt guy. We just did a tape on him, an audio on him. I mean, this guy created banks just to launder money for Washington cronies and corrupt people. This guy is so corrupt that his last payment of $400,000, which is when he set up the Trump team and tried to even infiltrate the Trump team, he came and offered his services, said he wanted to be on the Trump team, wanted to work for the Trump team. They wouldn't take him. So he set up Carter Page, he attempted to set up Manafort, he set up Sam Clovis, he set up George Papadopoulos, and he was paid $400,000 under the auspices he was giving advice on India and China in one version, and with another $1 million, over $1 million, $1,058,000 he was, which both of those numbers have now come up in the documents. We revealed the first one through Michael McKibben and his researchers, the $1 million one, and where it came from. But he's an SES employee, and he is being paid by the State Department. Yes, he worked for the State Department in all of this. He worked directly for Hillary Clinton. Why don't we just call this what it is? This is Hillary Clinton's attempt to overthrow the government instead of win an election because of her many compromised positions, Uranium One being only one small one, and her connections to Russia, her connections to China, Walmart, everything, all the criminal activities of the Clintons.
And we have to look behind Hillary, because I find what's really shocking about this drop is the involvement of what we have beginning to show of the Brits.
Well, also Obama, which is my next step
but
here.
that's okay. Your next step is Obama.
It has to be Obama.
But we've known
Obama
this, I guess.
could be impeached after the fact.
Okay.
The law, the executive order.
Can we impeach him before the military tribunal and the public execution? Can we make sure the impeachment's first? No.
I would. The sentiment is well appreciated, Betsy, and of course,
This is overthrowing the United States government. If they had been successful, we would not be here discussing this, Thomas. It would have affected everyone in the United States and the world.
We would have basically become a Commonwealth nation.
No, it's worse than that, because they've got their whole Internet of Things and their 5G and their plans to take over the world. It's not conspiracy. We've shown you their documents. So that's why I'm saying this is a moment where we need to take a breath and realize they had every intention on killing all of us.
In one huge amount that we paid Stephen Halper, the person they're now calling the mole in the Trump campaign, was for space war games. In other words, 5G satellites that attack, the cube satellites that attack. That's what he was paid for. At the same time, he was paid for doing a study on, what was that, sociology and humanities. So he wasn't even paid from the departments that he worked in. That's how big of a culprit this guy is. And he goes back to the Nixon administration, Stephen Halper. But the point is what has Trump done? Let's name these. Here are the crimes. It says, in the top of this, it says the order will act as a full-scale criminal investigation. Criminal investigation means not an IG. The IG can't even question many of the people involved here because they don't work for the government anymore. So when Trump called Rosenstein and Wray over, it was to tell them, your time is short. You get the Congress everything they need or you're gone. And Kelly's going with you. And if you even backstep once...
Well, I hope he's packing when he goes, or he's taking a couple of security guards with him.
He wrote this thing, which at one point it says, to wit. Now that's a part of it. It wouldn't be the whole thing. And so we have a quote here, supposedly directly from Donald Trump, which sounds like it is because it sounds like a lawyer wrote it to Jeff Sessions. And if Jeff Sessions does not publicly, because this is public, if he does not respond that he's opening a special investigation or that he is perhaps appointing an independent counsel, an independent group of people who will choose that counsel so that they will not be involved in the DOJ FBI collusion, which has already been proven already by what has come out by Michael Horowitz's pathetic little Inspector General investigation, which we are supposed to be seeing soon as an excuse. And Rosenstein and Wray tried to say, oh, don't you worry, President Trump. We're going to do just what you said here with this criminal investigation and all this stuff. We're going to let Michael Horowitz handle it. That is what Jeff Sessions said.
Well, they're all senior executive service people, everyone you named.
They just defer to the group that hides the trail of criminality in their own agency if you're at the top, or might go after somebody small at the bottom. Now, let's go on with this. To wit, a request by former President Barack Obama for the British intelligence agency known as MI6. We named all of those people. Andrew Wood, Sir James Dearlove, Sir Jeffrey Patty. We named all of them yesterday. That's who he's talking about. That's Stephen Halper. That is more than likely also Joseph Mifsud. He's probably British. He's probably a British spy, more than likely. As well as Sergei Milian, who got involved. He may be MI6. He certainly is CIA. So when they say CIA, they also sometimes, that is directly equivalent to MI6 because of Five Eyes. We basically opened Fort Meade, Maryland for the Brits to come over to spy on someone running for presidency to hide the fact that we didn't want to get caught doing it ourselves. We go over there, hello, Stephen Halper, an American, goes over there to do our dirty work for the Brits so they don't get caught for it. Well, they got caught. Their group, SCL, just went bankrupt. They're the mother company of Cambridge Analytica. He is part of that group. So are the other people I just named. This goes straight to the Queen. Ivar Mountbatten. We are talking about the cousin of the Queen was involved in this, and their rogue NSA basically just collapsed. Our rogue NSA hasn't collapsed because it was being run out of the White House. This is a bomb. This is a bunker bomb dropped on the Obama White House because we now have Susan Rice who said that Obama was involved. We have Peter Strzok and Lisa Page's text messages, and now today it comes out that there's even a clearer text message that Andrew McCarthy, I think, pulled up from the depths of diving into the text messages that we have. And it clearly states that Obama was 100% involved. There's also text messages saying that he demanded to be kept updated on it. We have Susan Rice's own text message to herself or email to herself that says he demanded to do it by the book, but he demanded to have updates. Updates right up to the second of the inauguration. They thought they were going to overthrow his inauguration.
So again, let me ask you, will the impeachment happen before or after the public execution? No comment from you.
Let me put it this way.
This is no threat
The
on my
impeachment
part,
would be
but
first
treason
to
does
answer
have
your
a penalty.
question. And then there could be a military tribunal for a conspiracy for treason and sedition. But this will, if first off,
Conspiracy?
if you even take Hillary Clinton
Conspiracy? Are you kidding me? They didn't just conspire, they put it into action. We can show you the U.S. Digital Service, the rigging of the elections, all of that. This is not conspiracy.
if they want to convict every one of the 58 people that I have named in our broadcasts, we have the evidence at our site and at Americans for Innovation. All the evidence is there. A junior lawyer could convict them all. Now let's go on. This is a criminal investigation, to wit, going after the MI6 agents, and I just named a bunch of them, to engage in electronic signals and telephonic interception inside the United States of America against an incoming commander-in-chief, because that continued. It continued with them right into the Mueller investigation. They called it the secret society. They called it the committee to impeach, or the group to impeach. They had many names for the secret group. It was then really, its first name was Crossfire Hurricane, which is now in the news.
And you know what? If they do have this special counsel, we are not going to stand down. We're going to make them push it the whole way, because Mueller is thick as any of the thieves in this den.
And what they're pointing out here is that it says it goes after the commander-in-chief of the Army and the Navy and American citizens and political entities. In other words, his whole group are going to get damages on this. This will have civil suits. First, they're going to go civil. They're going to take every dime of these people before they want to hang them.
Including the Queen? Where
Where
are we going to go with the Queen?
The Queen could have to give back a whole lot of money from fraud, like they are doing with Serco. Serco is collapsing as we're beating up
Good
on
job,
Serco in
Patriots!
America, and it's collapsing.
Woo!
Concurrently, it's collapsing in Europe, and so is. We have been beating up on the rogue CIA, which has been run out of the White House since the time of Daddy Bush, and it's basically just become a criminal cabal. It's a family. It's a group of people who just do what the Queen does, but they do it overtly through their groups of corporate intelligence agencies, as well as the monopolies they set up that funneled Obama $2 billion for his library, which I told you will never get built. He chose a place in Chicago that is a public park so that it will be caught up in court forever, so he doesn't have to reveal any of his documents to us. No FOIA requests on anything of Obama's. They might as well be sealed. But a special counsel investigator can get those records in the presidential library, which he is by this clever trick, which I told everyone was going to happen, by the way, from the beginning. $2 billion he started off with for his library, which he rolled into the money that he had left over from his campaign, and then they created two foundations, one for Michelle and one for him, and they're doing what the Clintons did before they even got out of the White House. They did this. That's how corrupt they are. So let's go on. All that's going to go down, by the way, because what is named here? A request by former President Barack Obama for British intelligence agency. In other words, this is saying, of course Obama knew when the Brits came over to spy on Trump Jr. They have the NSA records. Their hands might as well be in the handcuffs. They have Admiral Rogers. Admiral Rogers turned on them, and we've told you. He was a black hat. He knew all this was going on. He knew there was surveillance. He knew Clapper lied. He knew Comey lied. He knew the FISA court was being abused. He did nothing until the day that it became a critical mass for him that Obama said all NSA traffic is going to be open for single sign-on. So you could unmask anyone you want with any interceptions of everyone in America is being surveilled. Okay? When I told you that Dan Coates has a plan, this is the plan to stop surveilling all Americans. We're starting at the top. This is saying President Obama brought in foreign agents, spies, to rig the election in every way that they could. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. He's just naming one crime. What I tell you? When you do this, you name one crime that you got him completely red-handed on. That's all you do. So he named two. That was the first crime.
So are we going to see Obama in handcuffs by the end of the week? I mean, if that shows that...
not by the end of the week. You're going to see Obama go to his safe house. You're going to see people go to Paraguay to their safe houses. You're going to see people go to their safe houses.
And
Yes.
their underground bunkers. Now's the time, people, because we're coming after you.
Once they get the indictment, they will not be allowed to leave.
Yeah.
So the indictment will come as soon as the investigation gets going, but they can already use U.S. Marshals acting upon the information of the NSA, confirmed through the U.S. Treasury Department for analysis and intelligence, which I say they've been working out of ever since the beginning, skirting around. Also, they have basically, we see, they don't believe any intelligence. Trump doesn't believe any of the intelligence from the intelligence community. He's created his own. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to give away some of the other things he's working on. I've mentioned it before. If you want to know, go back and listen to previous tapes. So the second part, and by the way, he names it. Title 18, United States Code, subsection 794A. Obama, I think you're going to get a tattoo that says subsection 794A. Because you committed a huge crime. And this crime is bigger than any crime any sitting president has ever committed. And if you don't go to jail, there's no justice in America. And your lawlessness...
Jail is not good enough.
Well, that's just where they're going to hold him.
This affected the entire world. Everybody in the world was affected by this rogue faction that was sitting in D.C.
He is a flight risk. He has to be locked up.
Yes.
Now,
okay.
going on.
Locked up.
And it says...
Then gets a speedy trial.
Now and speedy trial, yes. And
Okay.
only on one point. The point that locks him up for life. We don't need to go into all the details. We don't need to impeach him. We don't need to undo all of his executive orders. We simply need to say, he didn't write an order to allow this to happen.
No, we need to get rid of his history totally because he put all those corrupt judges in place. And we need to roll all that back.
If we impeach him, that is all possible,
yes,
one at a time.
And
yes.
that includes Supreme Court justices.
It doesn't make it all happen at once, but yes, it can. Now, Devin Nunes said there was no intelligence for any of it. So it was all secret intelligence, all directed from the White House with the White House approval, or it could have never happened in the intelligence community.
No, it wasn't intelligent. It was just lies, built on lies.
Clapper is not going to take the fall. Susan Rice is not going to take the fall. Loretta Lynch is not going to take the fall. Valerie Jarrett's not going to take the fall. Joe Biden, though, they were all in the room, and we have Susan Rice fingering half a dozen of them. We have Page and Strzok implicating the entire Department of Justice and the National Security Division, the FBI, the Counterintelligence Division, the entire CIA, and the entire intelligence... No, excuse me. Those... Remember what they said, the entire 17 intelligence communities? That was all a lie. There was three. There was the CIA, FBI, and the DOJ's National Security Division. And Clapper was running it because he was being told what to do directly by Obama. They sat in the White House. I told everybody this. Comey bragged about sitting in the White House with the Hillary's team and the heads of the intelligence community and talking about the way that they were going to create this. This is, he bragged about this in public. He bragged about it. He said he was going to write an article about it, and then he started his 28 crimes of treason. And we've mentioned them all, and they're all going to come out in this, but they won't have to get all of them. They only have to get each one of them for one good solid thing. So, second part of this drop. Trip code has not been confirmed. But
But are we sure it's the original T?
I'm telling you, if I was to write this would be what I would write as a lawyer working for Trump.
And this is current stuff. This isn't like tweets from Trump when he wasn't a president back in 2013.
No, this is about the crimes that have been committed, ordering Jeff Sessions to create a special counsel. Now, he doesn't say special counsel here, but because there's collusion between the Justice Department and the FBI, it is a fait accompli. It is a priori assumption. There must be a special counsel, period.
And when you said that all of these characters that you named in the White House aren't going to take the fall for Obama, I just want to make sure it's really clear to folks out there. That doesn't mean they're going to go skate free because we're coming after them next.
Did Jonathan Weiner take the fall for Hillary? No, he came out and cried like a baby, whined like a baby. He told all the dirt.
Yeah.
How about Donna Brazile? Told all the dirt.
Yeah. How about Debbie Wasserman Schultz in Orange? You think she's going to go down lightly? She's going to spill on everybody.
Well, once we find out that her lover, Imran Awan, really controls all of her bank accounts and has been extorting her all along, then we'll understand why she continues to fight this nonsense. The confirmed through an inspector general investigation, the largest espionage case in U.S. history is not even being investigated. I think they appointed one junior FBI agent, and nothing has happened to the clearest, most obvious case of espionage, Imran Awan's espionage, which goes all the way back to, that's right, the Democratic National Committee's server. He had total control of it. So they're wrong when they say people haven't seen it. Imran Awan saw it.
And as things continue to unfold now, we're going to be going down the Podesta track and be looking into all of those Pizzagate topics that we were looking at many years ago.
Going on. And
All right.
supposedly from the big T, the T storm, the T drop, T anon, T clearance, the big T.
T is into house. That means the White House.
T's into house. Oh, yo, T's into house.
This is not good when we
Yo,
try
dog.
to.
No, that was my name when I was young. Yo, dog.
dog.
Come on. I was there. Way before everybody else was.
Well, you were an
Yo,
NSA
dog.
cryptologist, so that gives you credence in being able to decode these presidential matters.
That's correct.
So,
I
right.
have the clearance.
Right.
I had what is called for the president's eyes only clearance. Here we go. The granting of access to British intelligence to top secret United States security agency facilities at Fort Meade, Maryland, and elsewhere. Hello, and elsewhere. That's the other crime. To facilitate such warrantless electronic signals, telephonic interception. That's all the FISA requests, because they all are based upon fallacious information. Without probable cause, no crime was ever committed in any of those. No crime. There is no such thing as collusion. Looking for Hillary's 33,000 emails, as George Papadopoulos was accused of doing, is not a crime. None of it is crimes. Anything they have is not a crime. Having the president have Russian horse pee on him is not a crime, folks, even if it were true, and it isn't, because he didn't even stay there that night, and he has proof. So they have him in the wrong hotel that night. And the video that they have, I've seen, and it ain't Trump, and it ain't a nice hotel, and it is the lowest, disgusting.
Okay, but get over that.
There we go. So, without probable cause, the dossier is not probable cause. It was used in all of these. Brennan said, without the dossier, we couldn't have had blah, 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 blah. Bill Priestap said, without the dossier, everybody said, without the dossier, none of it could have happened, so the dossier is all fake. Court order or search warrant. Now, he's going to get damages right there for Michael Cohen. Court order.
Who's going to get damages?
Trump is going to get, for all of his team, civil suit damages. And that's why they don't want to hang these people. They want to get all their money first. Court order. Or
Okay.
search warrant.
So who are they going to get? Who are they going to sue to
They
get the money?
didn't have a court order to take all of his transition team stuff.
I have a question. Just don't bear down on me.
Sorry.
I like this. It's a civil action suit. That means somebody's going to have to pay for all this before they ever go and get locked away. Are they going to be targeting Obama and his offshore accounts and be going after them
Yes.
for payment?
Yes.
How about
All
Hillary?
offshore accounts.
Will Hillary have to pay up?
Yes, all Clinton Foundation corruption.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And now here comes the second thing is how many people did this involve? I mean, when you look at it, it could involve dozens and dozens of people that would have grounds for a civil suit against these criminals.
Correct.
And we know these criminals have money, so there could be a payday for good citizens that were just trying to help America.
This is more than willingness and intent. This is the highest form of planned corruption and collusion and the worst criminal activity that you can actually do in America, because they killed millions of people with the bombing. Obama did. They put 58 million people into refugee status. They wasted U.S. dollars, hundreds of billions of
can
trillions.
those people sue for civil damages? Or we're just talking about the people
Once
in the
he's
inside?
impeached, we can sue him because he's no longer in an office.
Okay.
And then that's why they
Okay.
say once you're impeached, all these things can happen.
Well, he needs to be impeached because he was never properly a citizen, a natural-born citizen.
His name is, he did not name any of his aliases. For that reason alone,
Yes.
he can be impeached.
Yes.
His name is Barry Soetoro. He is a CIA agent. His mother was a CIA agent, and her parents were CIA agents. We've revealed all of these. Those silly drops on other channels where they say, oh, look, Obama has a fake birth certificate. Good Lord almighty.
I told you
this
that
is such old
the
news.
people
No,
behind
he's
you
going to
right now
jail
are a couple
for
of
this,
20-year-olds
not
that
for
don't-
his birth certificate.
Okay.
He's going to jail because he used his highest powers that there are in the worst crime that there is, short of
Yes.
murder.
Yes.
And
I guarantee
to say
you,
people died from this wouldn't be a far stretch.
no, well, Seth Rich.
Yeah, Seth Rich, sorry.
I
Seth
mean,
Rich
for
died.
Seth Rich alone.
Seth
But
Rich.
here's the thing. There is no way that anybody right underneath Obama commanded this. They waited for Obama to make the command.
Had to. No one would do this without the highest clearance.
Yes.
Not
Obama,
possible.
you're going down.
Not possible.
I have been waiting for, oh my God, decade.
General Rogers is turning in Obama. That's what this is.
Oh my.
If this is true, this is General Rogers
Oh,
turning
this
in
is
Obama.
great news,
They already have
Thomas.
the evidence.
It's great news.
Going on.
Okay.
Okay. A court order or search warrant in violation of Title 18 United States Code 1831-3. Comey, Mueller, you might want to get a tattoo. That would be Title 18 Code 1831.
Well, they've committed
3.
treason too. Let's not make light of
I'm
these other
just
people.
saying, while they're in prison waiting for their
Military
hanging,
tribunal, speedy
for their hanging,
trial,
or
public
whatever
execution.
whatever treason and sedition brings at the highest levels at the worst possible consequences. That's what they should have tattooed on their arm until then. Now, what is really happening is, yes, war has broken out, but the war had been going on. We have had an attempt to undo an election, to seat Hillary Clinton without a due election. The primaries were rigged. This will go back to the primaries because this will include the primaries, and this is only one element of whatever is in that executive order. We only have one drop here. That is one paragraph. Now, when we see the whole thing, what we're going to find out is the following. It's going to cover everything, just like his executive order to go after all the criminals, and that's why so many criminals have gone down. Why do you think George Soros's number one man, what's his name? He went down. He's been convicted. Why do you think Eric Schneiderman went down? Why do you think Weinstein went down? Why do you think Hollywood went down? Because this is a war, folks, and if you don't know that Trump is conducting a covert war with his own agents, then you're not paying attention. We've been pointing this out from the beginning. Dan Coates right now is leading it.
Well,
Dan Coates was in that meeting.
We're still under a national emergency.
We are completely in a national emergency with the 13 executive orders that Obama tied together to give the president the power of a king, the power of a monarch. Hillary was to be the queen. This is no joke. She was to copy the British model, using SES members, the deep state shadow government, to run things as it's been happening since Obama. Obama set it up for 8 years. This was supposed to be the end of America. This was the Queen of of the Americas. That's what she was to become.
And we can
Queen
finally,
of the Americas,
and once
South
this
and North.
starts to unroll, we can go all the way back to 9/11 and, start looking at George Bush, Dick Cheney, and the folks that really were behind
Bill
the mastermind.
Clinton
Bill
was
Clinton.
completely complicit.
Yes, all the masterminds. And they were all Americans that did this to their fellow Americans.
When you look at the corruption of Comey, you find the corruption of this, the thing, that one paragraph. That one paragraph will lead to Comey and to Mueller, and that will lead to 911, and that will lead, and before they even go from Comey to Mueller, when in between Comey and Mueller comes Hillary.
Sure.
Hillary goes down completely in all of this because why were they doing these things? The investigators will know immediately why they were doing them. They were covering up crimes. What crimes? The crimes that they were complicit with for 10 years. The crimes of Uranium One. The crimes of what we did in Russia. The crimes of the sanctions.
And
the crimes of the bombing. The crimes of all these crimes. The crimes of Iraq. The crimes of Afghanistan, of Syria. Please, the crimes are disgusting. The worst crimes in U.S. history was during Obama's administration. He was the worst president in U.S. history. She was the worst Secretary of State. And it was pay to play. And it's so grotesque and so obvious that, as I say, a junior lawyer who doesn't work for anybody, get him from the cheapest law school over here, he could convict all 58 people that I can name because the evidence we already have, we've already made it available.